Okay, so that was completely weird. I don't know exactly what was going on, but things crashed. And it must be because it's Friday. It must be because I announced amusement. I think I should tell you that this is going to be a very boring broadcast because once I said that it was going to be amusing, everything went to pot. Actually, I hope that's not the case because we do have some amusing things going on. And I'm going to give it a few minutes just to make sure that everybody realizes that we crashed and that we're starting again over here. It must be the Freaky Friday. It must be the fact that I'm going to watch Dune at the movie theaters this afternoon. It must be, I don't know what it is, or it must be the heat. Maybe I'm trying to accomplish too many things at once. So, as you start noticing that we are here and not in the previous broadcast, let me do my standard announcements. Of course, welcome to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook. We are going to take a look at news as we always do at Headlines. We're going to take a look at your comments. And we are going to follow up on a couple of things that we had mentioned we would follow up on and that we failed to follow up on. One of them was Henri Mancini. We talked about Henri Mancini a couple of days ago, and then I got all excited, and then we didn't talk about Mancini later on. But we will talk about Mancini today. I also noticed that some of you wanted to find out more information about altars and Day of the Day altars, and we're going to touch base on that today. So, and we have very, very important news about leftover vaccines. We thought they were going to happen next month, and as it turns out, they're going to happen next week. And now that a few of you are here, we might as well get started with a broadcast. And of course, we start with our usual announcements. If you are new to the broadcast, let us know by writing the word new, and we will be so very happy to give you a proper welcome. And of course, if you have something truly important that you wish to bring up during the broadcast, it helps a great deal if you add a letter Q to the beginning of your comment or question. So, as long as you're all gathering here, we might as well get started with the news because this is important stuff. Oh dear, what can I tell you? Actually, let me cough. Okay. Audio is good. Everything is good. What can I tell you? We trust the news sources because we have to. And yesterday, a news source told us that COVID-19 vaccines for leftovers would arrive next month. Then all of a sudden, several news sources announced yesterday afternoon that leftover vaccines are coming this coming week. That's right, vaccination for leftovers will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday, October 26 and 27 at the usual places, the Naval Hospital and La Lija. We know that the vaccine that will be used is AstraZeneca, so you can expect 2 shots. We still don't know the hours, but if you are a leftover, you might as well clear your schedule now for Tuesday or Wednesday. The article that we're looking at includes a link to the Mi Vacuna website where you are required to pre-register. Yesterday, we also told you about a sizable amount of money that had been curiously deposited into the bank account of CEPAL's union leader, Juan Andrés Aguirre. Well, he was not happy about that news item. Apparently, he stormed into the CEPAL offices escorted by a bunch of workers, hoping to get the attention of the new director and threatening to shut down the operation. To this, the director said, "I ain't talking to you if you're going to get that ugly." Of course, this seems to have nothing to do with the workers themselves. The new director, Salvador Llamas, praised the workers' performance, indicating that they should not get involved. This is a situation between very questionable activities by the union leader and CEPAL. We will keep you posted on this one, but in the meantime, keep watching for those stinky puddles as you walk around the city. They might be caca puddles. Very quickly, I want to let you know that since Nayarit is now in the green in the National COVID-19 Safety Indicator, operating hours for restaurants and bars were also expanded to 75% in Nayarit, but only until midnight, just as they are going to be expanded here in Puerto Vallarta. Now, this one is really funny. Yesterday, Municipal Tourism Director Ludwig Estrada Virgen announced that we would have the Day of the Dead, Catrinas, and altars, after all, and a small parade to go along with them. And today, we learned that the same Municipal Tourism Director has changed the tune and is now calling for the population to not go to the Malecón to celebrate Halloween. I mean, one day he says go, and the next day he says don't go. Yes. Furthermore, he announced that the installation of altars is yet to be analyzed by City Hall, and a final decision will be made about this coming week. Something tells me that he jumped the gun yesterday, and somehow I appreciate how there are those that would like to see him replaced by a younger person. And I know that was shady, but you know, it is what it is. And also, as I was reading your comments yesterday afternoon, I noticed that a handful of you did write the word altar in your comments, wanting to know more about what's going on with the Day of the Dead altars, which means that we'll have a brief but very important crash course on Day of the Dead altars right after the weather, which we are going to go to right now. Okay, the pumpkin spice must flow, says our snarky carrot weather. It is 28 degrees Celsius right now, feels like 35. Humidity, what the fuck? Humidity is at 100%. No wonder I'm feeling schwitzy this morning. It is 82 degrees Fahrenheit out there. Our weather forecast for this weekend. Today, we can expect a humid and partly cloudy day with a high temperature of 32, low temperature of 24. Tomorrow, it'll be humid and partly cloudy with a high temperature of 32, low temperature of 23. And on Sunday, possible light rain in the evening and overnight, high temperature of 31, low temperature of 23. Why is it so hot again? I even finished making my first fall season shawl, and I figured I wanted to premiere that in Guadalajara this weekend, but that is not going to happen. If you'd like to see my crochet, let me know. Just write the word crochet, and otherwise I won't burden you with how I keep my time busy to myself. Let's see. Next, we are going to talk about ofrendas or altars for Day of the Dead, which you want to know a little bit about. So, how do we go about this? Okay, well, first of all, Day of the Dead is, as you know, a day in which we celebrate our deceased ones. Oh my God, you want to see my crochet? You want to see my crochet? Oh my God. Okay, I'll whip it out in a second. Anyhow, we celebrate on Day of the Dead. We celebrate our loved ones, those people that have gone away, and what we do is, or what is customarily done in Day of the Dead, is altars are put together at homes, at businesses, and we use these altars. We decorate these altars with ofrendas or offerings, and the ofrendas are supposed to lure or create a path for your loved one's soul to come back home. I'm calling it soul for the lack of a better word. The fact that I say soul has no religious or deity kind of implication, but why would souls need some clarity as to how to find their way home? Well, I have my own personal theory about this. I think once we cross over to the other side, whatever you want to call it, there are all those dead people out there that, we're all busy meeting one another. I mean, once I cross over, I want to find Frederick Chopin. And I want to say, I mean, Fred, were you really that moody? I want to run into Jambonnet Ramsey, and I want to go for mani pedis with her and ask her, well, what exactly happened to you, girl? So I assume all these souls are just confused and busy looking at billboards and trying to meet one another. So the way the altars work is you build an altar for your loved one and you decorate it with things that your loved one loved when he or she was alive. So, for example, I know Chopin was moody, Jenny, but I mean, what I want to know is, was he moody because he was moody, or was that just, part of his act? That's what I'm curious about. Anyhow, I'll be meeting Chopin in the afterlife. In the meantime, here we are. Here's a typical Day of the Dead ofrenda, in a typical Day of the Dead altar or ofrenda. You put a photograph of your loved one. You may put some food things, chingaderas or drink chingaderas that your loved one liked. Like, for example, we don't get to decide what our family will put in our altars because we're in the afterlife. We're busy, meeting people. But I know that when I cross the Rainbow Bridge, my friends will most likely include Butterfingers in my altar. They will include crochet. They will include photographs of Luna. They will include, I don't know, yarn. They will include, a bong, all the things that bring comfort to us when we're at home. So that is the nuts and bolts of the altars. Now, one thing is to put together an altar at home, and another thing is to put together an altar in your business, for example. And a lot of business owners will put together altars for people they admire. Like somebody might put together an altar praising Marilyn Monroe or whomever. And that is, in a nutshell, what happens with the Day of the Dead altars. But of course, now we have no idea whether we're going to have them or not, because our good friend Ludwig Estrada, the director of tourism, is waffling on his decisions as to whether we will have events or not. Of course, as usual, I will keep you posted. And since so many of you want to see what I've been up to, here it is. I shall unwrap. This is a Bactus type chalette, or, there you go. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I am ready for fall. I am ready for fall. Of course, it's too fucking hot to wear this thing, but I made this, and it's finished, and it's lovely, and I figured I would put it to good use this weekend in Guadalajara, and that's not going to happen. Maybe I'll bring it to the movie theater this afternoon. Maybe it'll be cool enough in there for me to wear it, or maybe I just have to wait. Enough of that. Now let's talk about the hoozies. Oh my God. I'll be the first to admit I haven't explored the topic of cryptocurrencies largely because it has very little to do with my daily existence. I earn pesos, I earn dollars. That's what I earn, that's what I spend. But this could change now that the city of Guadalajara seems to have launched its own digital currency, and it's called hoozie. Yes, hoozie. That's a very Mexican name, unless we're supposed to pronounce it ozie, because the H is silent in Spanish. But yes, that is the very Mexican name of the very first cryptocurrency in the world. Well, not the first one. I don't know why they call it the first one, because we know there's others out there. But apparently, one hoozie, I feel like I'm talking about tits or something. One hoozie is equivalent to 1 peso. And you accumulate them hoozies by performing actions that protect the environment, like taking the bus. Of course, in Guadalajara, buses are electrical, so this is good for the environment. So you hop on a bus and you earn hoozies, and then you can go and spend your hoozies in a number of businesses that are already enrolled in the platform. So, and here's the website. You can go into the website and download an app and start earning your pesitos, or rather your husitos, or I don't know what to call them, but hey, now you can use hoozies to buy tacos, I suppose. It's just too weird for me. Maybe I'm old fashioned. Um, anyhow, Bitcoin is now accepted by Volaris. Well, let's see if they accept the hoozies. We'll have to see what's going to go with that. Anyhow, it's just weird. I thought you would appreciate it. I told you this would be 98% guarantee of amusement. Now, another thing that we talked about that we said we would talk about further, and we didn't, was Henri Mancini's Lujon, which, it all started because we were talking about film scores a couple of days ago, and I couldn't remember the name of Mancini's song. It is called Lujon, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous song. Why is it called Lujon? Well, there was, actually, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but William Luborough, that's the name. He invented a percussion instrument called the Lujon, and it's kind of like a box, and you play percussion on it, and it makes these very tribal sounding sounds. And Henri Mancini's drummer owned one, and of course Mancini asked, "What is this?" And his drummer explained, "Well, this is a Lujon." And he explained that the name of the instrument came from the fact that one of the first people to own one was John Lewis, from the Modern Jazz Quartet. Anyhow, Mancini was totally mesmerized with the sound of this instrument and decided to compose a song in which the instrument is featured. And now I present to you Dan Fontaine, who is one of Australia's most sought after composers, musical directors, and virtuoso percussionist. He's a graduate of the Sydney Conservatorium of Music, and he has amassed millions of YouTube views and international acclaim with his various projects, which include his own recording of Mancini's Lujon. And it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous version of the song. And I'm going to leave you with the YouTube web address so that you can explore this music on your own time. That brings us up to date with all these things that if I don't write them down, God knows I forget to bring them back up. And thank God I wrote down the fact that today is Friday and we get to discuss El Caloso. So before we dive into our chit chat section, we have survived a crash. We have survived the hoozies. Now let me cue my presentation for El Caloso, which starts like this with bright Mexican pink. Why? Because that was the first color that I found. Actually, before we talk about El Caloso, I want to bring up an important word. Let us take a look at the word popular, which in Spanish is the same, popular. In English, popular can refer to a place or person that is liked or admired. It can also relate to something intended for the general public or a belief held by the majority of the general public, like popular opinion, popular vote, that kind of thing. Well, in Spanish, the word popular means pretty much the same, but the word popular also takes on a very unique meaning in Mexico and probably the rest of Latin America when it is associated with a particular neighborhood. A popular neighborhood can be like Emiliano Zapata, which is very popular with tourists, or a popular neighborhood can be a neighborhood where the people, or more specifically, lower to middle, lower class live. These boundaries are more subtle in the United States, for example, where I lived for 20 years. But in Mexico, I remember coming back to Puerto Vallarta, or when I was getting ready to come back to Puerto Vallarta, I had a cousin that lived here in town, and I asked her, well, what do you think about this neighborhood versus that neighborhood? And I think I was referring to Cinco de Diciembre. And I distinctly remember that my cousin said to me, "Oh, you wouldn't want to live there because that is a colonia popular." And what she meant to say is that that was a lower class colonia, not suitable for us upper class Mexicans. And that moment, I knew that once I came to Puerto Vallarta, my relationship with my cousin was not going to be very close. So this whole business of popular, as it relates to neighborhoods, is very present in Mexican culture. You know, upper class Mexico does not necessarily go live in colonias populares just because that's where the little people live, kind of thing. This is not particularly important to me, but I think it is important to give some context as we have visited popular colonias in the past. For example, my colonia La Avena is a popular colonia. I have no problems with that. Some people might, but I don't. It evolved as a popular colonia organically, whereas there are colonias like Versalles, which was pretty much a residential colonia from the get-go. Even walking down Emiliano Zapata, you know, the further you get from the tourist area, the more you realize that Emiliano Zapata, as fancy and expensive as it has become, it is a popular colonia, or it started in a colonia. It started as a popular colonia. Now, what has this got to do with our dear Caloso? Well, because I just wanted to make sure that you knew that El Caloso is probably, or actually, El Caloso is a colonia popular. You know, it's a very Mexican colonia that has yet to gentrify as much as other areas, and it is located, as you can see here, it is flanked by the Libramiento on this side, and the mountains on this side, and the Río Cuale on the lower side. This is where the boundaries are for El Caloso. And then I thought to myself, well, what the hell is a Caloso? What does it mean? Well, I went doing some research to try to give you a decent explanation, and I could not find one. Or at least I have not been able to find one just yet. The dictionary did say that Caloso is related to papel calado or papel picado or perforated paper, which is a Mexican folk art that is made by cutting elaborate designs by hand into sheets of tissue paper. This is a Mexican craft or folk art that is, as a matter of fact, quite popular both during Day of the Dead, as you can see by some of these illustrations, and it's also quite popular during the holiday season, the Christmas season. But back to El Caloso, there are several ways you can get into El Caloso. One of the first ones would be by car or by walking from El Libramiento. You may or may not know of this entrance, but if you've driven past El Libramiento and you've seen, there's always a truck at that corner selling chingaderas. And if you go down that street, you get into what I'm going to call the hilly side of El Caloso, and you start going downhill down these roads, and you start seeing a lot of speed bumps, and I'll explain the speed bumps in a second. Most of what you see is very, very Mexican type homes, although you may encounter other homes that look a little bit more, less popular, I might say. But the one thing that you notice when you're going down that street, which is called Via Lactea, is the huge number of speed bumps. Why? Because this colonia was not always as nice as it's becoming. And in fact, there's some people that will continue to argue that El Caloso is still a rather rough colonia. So the police department puts all those speed bumps there so that if they're chasing someone, that car that they're chasing will have to go through the speed bumps and therefore decrease their speed or otherwise ruin their transmission as they're trying to get by. But there are some cute houses. There's a great mixture of houses as you're coming down. down Via Lactea. Although I suspect that because the entrance down Via Lactea is, once you are on that side of El Caloso, you're either going uphill or downhill. And I suppose that that has made it more difficult to gentrify as when you access El Caloso through other sides. For example, you can also access El Caloso through Cuauhtemoc Street in Gringo Gulch. We've featured this in a walk before, and I will leave a link for that walk in the show notes in case you wish to revisit it. So this would be the upper hilly side of El Caloso, and this would be the flatter side of El Caloso, all this section over here. And last but not least, you can also access El Caloso from the Lázaro Cárdenas Bridge in Colonia Emiliano Zapata. We've seen this intersection before, and of course, this has been in our conversations quite a bit due to the fact that from that bridge we can see this building, which of course has been in the news a lot, along with this street, which was almost destroyed during the recent Hurricane Nora and is now presently being rebuilt. Now, here in the lower side of El Caloso is where you will find more homes that have been converted and beautified and so forth and so on. And parenthetically, this is not necessarily something new. I remember visiting with my dear friend Cassandra Shaw that owns a jewelry shop on Basilio Vadillo. And I visited her home in El Caloso quite a few years ago. And she had converted a town, well, what would be kind of like a townhouse. And she did it in a truly Mexican style. And it was one of those, just like brownstones in New York, they look like pretty ordinary from the outside, but you walk inside and it's a huge surprise. You walked into Cassandra Shaw's home, which she has subsequently sold, and she's moved elsewhere quite some time ago. And she took this property and just transformed it into this beautiful place full of Mexican accents and exposed brick and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of this going on now in El Caloso, particularly in the flatter section. There is a beautiful plaza with benches which give the Colonia a sense of identity. And a bunch of neighborhood stores. There's a kiosco and an OXXO here and there. So, you have some resources within the Colonia if you want to go shopping for things. There is also public transportation that comes and goes through El Caloso. And as Dave pointed out, El Caloso now houses one of the best restaurants in Vallarta, the Cortés. And I haven't had a chance to visit either one of the two restaurants in El Caloso that are worth mentioning. Indeed, the first one is the Cortés, and the second one is La Fina. Let's talk about the Cortés with the phrase "más esencia, menos apariencia," which means more essence, less pretense. The Cortés is the brainchild of owner and founder chef Leopoldo Cortés, who was looking to create a culinary experience that was fulfilling without all the pretense of other more popular restaurant brands in town. To prove his point, he opened in El Caloso in the middle of nowhere, and he has been very well received by visitors and locals. The restaurant is open for dinner only and is closed on Sundays and Mondays. I haven't had the privilege yet to visit La Fina, which is the other restaurant that is buzzing a lot in El Caloso. And while the Cortés bills itself as cocina de autor or chef's cuisine, La Fina is a new option in El Caloso, and they offer neighborhood Mexican food. I understand they have some outdoor and indoor seating. And their menu, I've seen it online, when you think about a simple restaurant, a simple neighborhood restaurant, their menu is huge. They have a lot of options. And La Fina is also open only for dinner. And I have a couple of friends that have really, really raved about it. But again, I haven't had a chance to to enjoy either one of these restaurants, but hope I will be able to at some point in time. And this, in a nutshell, is what I know about El Caloso and what I can share with you. If any of you live in El Caloso and want to share some comments, I see some comments about El Caloso, and we'll get to those in a second, so that we can all read them together. And of course, next week, our next popular colonia to discuss based on your preference is conchas chinas. And that's what we are going to be talking about a week from today. So now that we've survived this and we haven't crashed anymore, let us take a quick look at your comments to see what everybody is up to. Shoo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Ooh. Lena is counting sleeps. Good for you. Mihal's going to go see Dune tonight here in Calgary. I'm going to go see Dune tonight with a couple of friends, so I am really excited about that. And that's precisely the reason I want to go see it, because I'm hoping for an epic experience. My brownies are made. I'm good to go. I even have something to keep me comfortable at the theater. Yay. Let's see what we have. Javier Mendoza asks, I've noticed a storefront cannabis dispensary getting ready to open. Got any info on that? Well, Javier, considering the fact that our city has 350,000 places and people living in it, and it has over 150 colonias, I have no idea of what you're talking about or where this is or what. So if you tell us about where this storefront is located, maybe, just maybe, we should be able to find out more information about that. Let's see. Just got a warning. This doesn't have a cue, but it's important. Got a warning from the Hurricane Center about tropical storm soon to be Hurricane Rick, who will pay us a visit Monday or Tuesday. Yes, I know that something has been brewing down there, but because it hasn't developed, we haven't brought it up. But thank you for being mindful of that. I'll keep an eye on it over the weekend. Let's see what else. Completely, Matthew. Yes, about goings on sound like a big Mexican drama. Let's see. Somebody else is counting days. Diane, good for you. And then I showed my, look at all those crochet requests. Yay, crochet is awesome. Raymond says, I keep you in stitches. Seriously. Any word on water outage in 5D? No, not that I know of. I haven't seen any publications about 5D, whatever that is. Let's see what else we have. Oh, Maggie wants to meet with Freddie Mercury. I don't blame you. And Jenny wants to meet with George Sands. Good for you. Oh my gosh, you have a list of people that you want to meet in the afterlife. I thought I was the only one. Let's see. When you talk about whipping it out, you hope I'm talking about my crochet? Well, it depends on the circumstances, Mark. Let's see. Liz wants one in purple. Okay, fair enough. There's a question from Stephanie. Shell stitch? ? There is a shitload of shell stitches in this thing. Just like tons and tons and tons. Ad nauseum shell stitches. And I'm done with it. Thank God. I could have made it into a bigger shawl, but I would never wear it. Let's see what else we have. Yes, hoozie. Hoozie rhymes with floozy. Oh my God. So one could go and find... No, never mind. I was going to say something really dirty, and you don't need that even on a Friday. No. No blowjobs. No blowjob conversation today. Let's see what else we have. Uh, Sara is getting back into crochet. Would love to see one of your shawls. Well, I just showed you mine. How about you show me yours? Uh, Ryan chimes in from Chevy Chase. Hoozie, Urban Dictionary, that derives a combination of the words hoochie and floozy. A hoozie is a young, at least mildly attractive woman whose sole purpose to a man is sexual gratification. See? That's my point. Do you really want to be paying for your tacos with hoozies? This is just so fucking wrong. It's not even funny. Um, Rita, who has Facebook in Spanish, is now a seguidor de Ito. Yes, Facebook has decided to brand you guys as like anniversary followers or this, that, and the other. All I say is thank you for following. And but in Spanish, it sounds really weird. Seguidor de Ito. It's nobody uses the word Ito anymore that I'm aware of. Um, Marie is cutting to the chase. She's like, fuck this. I'm going to haul my hoozies and down to La Playa in a little while. I love it. Oh. El Caloso is like kryptonite to me. My ex-wife lives there. That's okay. Fair enough. Um, let's see. Uh, Lynn says, I guess I live in Colonia Popular, number 5D. You guys and your acronyms. I love you. uh, what the hell is a caloso? Logan also wondered that. Well, I figured I would start with the basics, and you know, we I don't know, but I'm still reading my books about the history of Puerto Vallarta and hoping to get some more specific answers in the future. Let's see what else. Marcia says, my son lives in El Caloso and I love it there. Daytime, you see families and it's clean and lovely. It had a scary reputation for years, but now it's better. I totally agree. That's what I've seen. And El Caloso is becoming quite a fun place to live. We lived in El Caloso for a month. It was our first colonia when we moved here, says Javier Mendoza. Let's see what else. Then you have comments about the restaurants. This is good. This is good. Janet tells us something truly cryptic. When will the market start in the plaza? My Aztec instinct tells me that you are talking about the farmers market. Janet, I have no idea, but I am sure that if you go to their Facebook page, you will find the answer on your own and you will feel ever so empowered. Let's see what else we have. Oh, I know 5D is Cinco de Diciembre, but I have to give you shit for all these acronyms that you come up with because I can. Kimberly also feels the same way. Possibly Cinco de Diciembre. It's either Cinco de Diciembre or a ginormous bra size. I'm not entirely sure. And Kathy thinks that the new name for Facebook should be Hoozie Book. Well, that would confuse the hell out of me, but that's okay. And look at the time. It's 11:14. My goodness, time flies when you're being amusing. And I did say that this broadcast would be the possibility of this broadcast being amusing would be 98%. Then we moved it to 99%. I sure hope you were amused. I was amused. And and at least somebody laughed at my bra size, 5D. There you go. I've never seen that word, goofa? Okay, that's on my homework list because I have no idea what that means, but that looks like a word I should incorporate. I love it. I love it. Meanwhile, Raymond talks about the other market, the 3 hens and a rooster, starting on the Isla Cuale on November 6th. There you have it. Anyhow, this is our broadcast for today. It is Friday. We didn't even play our Friday song, so there you have it. Friday. And I hope we get together again tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, sometime in the near future. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you don't schwitz too much. And go watch Dune. I'm going to be there this afternoon. So check it out. Have a good day. And I will see you again soon.